Wah! Hello, boobily boobles. Hey guys, it's me, Andy. How's it going, everybody? How we doing? Yeah. Hang on, let me change Wiggle Jazz. Wiggle Jazz must be transformed into. We're gonna turn him into. Well, I don't think we've had eating Astro Train for a while. We'll have him as he can munch on his little buddy there. There we go. Isn't he having a good time? Nom 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 nom. Yeah, just me today, just Andy. Big D said he wasn't feeling too well, so I'll be the one covering arguably one of the best Transformer runs. Arguably. The 2010, well, you can see on screen, 2010 to 2011 Generations line. We'll talk about it in the show. We're not going to cover GDO because we've mostly covered it already. Depending how long it takes, we might cover the Fall of Cybertron stuff as well, because that's a really disappointing line. I'll tell you, on a side note, before the show starts, I thought Springer from Thrilling 30s was part of the Generations line. I thought this boy was part of the Generations line, the first wave. He's not. I was like, what? Say again? Like, no. He was like 2 years later, 3 years later, something like that. I was like, oh, okay. A bit of a surprise. I'm actually shocked that there's no Voyages. Like, this Generations line is just pure deluxe, nothing else. Apart from, obviously, GDO, which are just repaint, so it doesn't really count. By that, I mean, let's get some music ready, and we'll start pooping out some music, and then we'll start on with the show, because I've got no reason to arse around. Okay. Music time, baby.
Welcome to Moonbase 2.
Hello, everybody. It's Andy Decade. Andy here, and we're here for the Moonbase 2 podcast. Whee! This is not the news side of things, of course. This is, I'm just having a look at TFW because I don't know what news kind of cropped up. I don't think a lot cropped up since last we met, which was obviously last week. I think, we've got a couple of new listings of things where you're like, okay, well, fair enough. In terms of toys, like repaints and more than likely no new molds. But we're going to be talking... Monstructor. That's a repaint. Yeah, we're going to be talking about the Generations toy line today, because me and Big D said that it was a line that we hadn't gotten to. Somehow, we'd slid by it, because I wasn't doing things in order. So now I'm going back to do it. And you might be like, but Andy, where's Big D? Well, Big D said he wasn't feeling well today. So it's just me. Just you and me on this boat, where I have a grenade launcher and I'm protecting you from Jaws, the plastic-headed shark, the Universal Studios tour ride in Orlando, Florida. That was a good ride. I did get a little bit on the crispy side when the fire explosions went off. If anybody went on that ride, you probably know. I don't think anyone got hurt from that. I want to say someone got a burn. I want to say someone got burnt on that ride just because the heat was too intense one day. I don't know if that's true, but I could believe it, because I remember those explosions going off and being like, whoa, fucking hell, that's pissing hot. Especially in Florida. And we were there in, like, November. Imagine that shit going off in the height of summer, and you got fire heat plus normal boiling sun heat. I'm like, bruh. No, thank you. But we're here to talk about the Generations toy line. The toy line that started off, I guess, what we'd officially call the Chug stuff. The Chug series, the 2010 figures. I mentioned this in the pre-show. This is a wave of 9 waves, which is a little bit surprising, but the most surprising thing of all, at least to me, is it's 9 waves of only deluxe figures. No leaders, no scouts, no legends, no voyages, just pure hard deluxes. Shocking. I honestly thought that there was a bit more in this line than the deluxes, but no. Well, not according to the TF Wiki, at least. Anyway, there was the GDO line, which me and Big D have talked about previously, the China and Singapore stuff and the Philippines. and they kind of got repackages of some figures, but I don't think anything specifically new. Like it says they got Ironhide and Starscream, and when you click on it, it shows you, it shows you a movie Ironhide, which I don't know why anybody would want, a movie Ironhide that's red, and a movie Starscream leader that's red as well. Again, I don't know who would really want those, but they were for a different market, so there you go. We're going to be talking about, obviously, this line, this wave of 9 waves, this wave of 9 waves, the series of 9 waves, has some repaints in it, of course, and it has some crossover, well, not I guess you could say crossover with the classics line, because we do have figures that we're not covering, which are Thrust and Dirge. This was great for the average person, because Thrust and Dirge were previously locked to Japanese exclusives, or to BotCon exclusivity as well. So this was good for those people who'd missed out and wanted those figures, but we've already talked about those molds. We don't need to cover it again, because I've said it in the past, and it's just the classic mold yet again. So it was good. People were very happy just purely on that basis alone that they could get those figures. Because why wouldn't you not be happy? You got Ramjet from the classics line, which was, God, that would have been like 5 years prior to this or something stupid like that. I think something crazy. I could check it now, but I'm not gonna. I'm too lazy. And then finally, they did get the other ones out. Anyway, let's start off with the War for Cybertron figures, because that was a big deal at the time. So we're going to start off with Cybertronian Bumblebee. War for Cybertron Bumblebee. Also, as I like to think of him, as Fat Bumblebee. Because proportionally, this guy had some very, 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 very slender legs, and then you went to his torso, and he was a little bit on the plump side, let's say. However, between him and Optimus, he was less fiddly and faffy to transform, and he came out to be a reasonably nice rendition of his vehicle mode. His vehicle mode, I would say, looks better, I'd say it looks better than his robot mode. Again, because his robot mode, proportionally, a bit on the wonky side. B did come with his hands that were molded slightly open, so it had that weird look when he was holding his gun. So I wasn't a big fan of that. And he also had deployable kinefes, or knives as they're called. Not painted, so they were just in translucent red, but still reasonably nice looking. And I remember the build quality being quite nice on this. This was the Generations toy line of 2010. So all of these figures felt good. They felt like good, hard quality plastic. And the transformation, I don't remember any joints being desperately loose on them either. Detail-wise, again, they were solid-looking figures. I guess the real issue, again, was just proportionally. He was just a bit on the wonky side. They do have a little bit of the yellow paint on, not opaque, not translucent, smoky translucent black plastic, so the yellow doesn't entirely match. Excuse me, so it does have that generic issue that all figures that do this still have to this day. Excuse me, I'm burping up crisps. Generally not a bad figure, not a great figure from the line, but it's okay. Did get reused again in the Rage Over Cybertron set, where he was very slightly different colored. It seems like they extended more of the translucentness to him. They replaced his black limb parts, like his biceps and his thighs, from black plastic to gray plastic, metallic-y, metal, silverish kind of plastic. I'm not sure it makes the figure look any better. They also got rid of the red-rimmed, translucent plastic rims on his wheels, which I think was a bad move, because it just makes his wheels just look solid black, which is kind of boring. But on his black detail on the centerpiece of the car, the big black line that runs up the center of the car and then kind of splits, they added in all of this blue line detail, like all spark blue, which I don't think looked desperately good either. The smoky black is a bit lighter as well, so you can see much easier onto the internals of the figure and see all of Bumblebee kind of curled up inside there. So again, yeah, not a preferable upgrade. This is definitely a downgrade, I would say, personally. I'm not a fan of that. What else was this used for? Obviously, this was used for the Cliff Jumper retool, because of course it was. This mold was redecoed for United Bumblebee Cybertronian mode, so we'll have a look at that as well. And Cliffjumper and Unite Cliffjumper as well, because, why not? This mold also inspired Damus body for the IDW comic character Tarn. I can't remember any of that, but I'll take its word for it. So let's have a look at the... Oh, that's right, the United Bumblebee. Okay, so the Japanese version of this figure is the style of the time, chat. So what they did was they just painted him up in very metallic-y gold. It's a nice metallic gold, and the metallic gold lies better over the translucent black plastic and looks more consistent, and does give him a good premium look. And I'd throw out there as well as a kind of nice little, because he's a video game character, obviously the textures in the video game are metallic-y and reflective. So this works for that a little bit better, I'd argue, than just slapping it on, like, Bulkhead from Animated or any of the animated figures. It's not really appropriate for that, because they're cartoons, so they're 2D, and they're colored yellow and standard flat colors, while a video game character obviously has that reflective detail on him. So, will this scratch up bad? Probably. Potentially. I'm trying to look to see if there's any points where they haven't painted it, and it looks like they've got all of the gold over at least the large facing parts of the yellow. I think I can see some unpainted yellow on the inside of his, like, the bottom of his, like, calves, but that's about it. The rest of it looks like it's pretty well done. Some yellow clips that aren't painted because obviously they get chipped up, or they'd messed with the tolerances. But yeah, that looks good. I think that looks actually better. Like, we've underneath that, they've got Bumblebee, the deluxe Bumblebee from the classic version, and they've painted it again in a similar kind of gold fashion, and I don't think this one looks nearly as good. Again, it's not as appropriate. At least I don't think so. It doesn't work compared to the War for Cybertron one. What's it? Hang on. It said something, and then it launched me back up or down the page. Oh no! Hang on. United. Oh, there it is. Okay. Meet my steak knives of murder, death, justice. Oh, I thought it said something a bit more interesting. Never mind. Apparently, the handgun could be stored inside the rear bumper in either robot mode or the vehicle mode. Like the original, his legs are generally loose. I don't remember that, but I'll take the wiki's words for that. At the mid-thigh joint due to the use for the transformation. Ah, there you go. Okay. So that was obviously an issue that I don't remember because I'm stupid. Then we had the Generations Cliffjumper, and we had the United version of the Cliffjumper as well. I'll read the blurb on the standard Cliffjumper. The instructions for Bumblebee depicted him with Cliffjumper's head, thus revealing the retool before it was officially announced. But I think we can all assume that wasn't a huge jump either. And it doesn't seem to say anything desperately different between him and Bumblebee. All it is a new head and then him, but what if red? So, it's exactly what you would think it is. It looks good. Instead of red blades, he has orange blades, I guess. The head mold it's okay. I don't love it. Looks like he's got a really big chin, like an aggressively big chin. And there's just something about the red hat. The helmet, the red helmet that doesn't just quite feel right. And again, I can't put my finger on exactly what it is, but it doesn't look quite right. Like if I took like sanding paper or a file and I rubbed off his horns and the top of his head would start looking a little bit more mirage-y, I feel, than it probably should. I'm trying to think if Cliffjumper looks generally. Does he have that kind of styled head or not? Like classic-y kind of Cliffjumper. Classic-y kind of Cliffjumper. That didn't feel good to say with my mouth feel. I don't know. Why is... Oh, is it because of the aligned continuity? We've got War for Cybertron Cliffjumper, and they've stored with him like Transformers Prime Cliffjumper. I don't know why. Whatever. Okay. So I'm gonna guess, even though I have just seen it. Yes, it's pretty. The United version pretty similar. Looks like they've swapped out the black plastic for on again his limbs for a metallic, not metallic-y gray, but a silverish metal kind of flat gray plastic. Which I think is a better idea. I think maybe the black wasn't a great call. Otherwise, he looks the same, just with a red metallic sheen on him. A lovely cherry red. Apple cherry red? Red cherry apple strawberry red? It's a red. It's a shiny red that everybody loves. It looks nice. Again, I think it's more appropriate here, as I mentioned, than on normal standard figures. Not a big fan still of the hands. Looking at the figure now, I am remembering that the hands are at this slight weird angle. So the best way to describe it for listeners who haven't got the figure and who aren't watching the stream is, like, look at your arms, have your arms straight, and then bend your hand in at a, like, maybe that's 90, maybe bend in at like a, I don't know, like 30-degree angle inwards. And that's kind of the positioning of Cliffjumper's hands. They're not straight, at a slight angle. They're not like completely 90-degree bend that you can do with your wrists inward, but it's got that slight bend to it. So again, if you look at the arms, they just look slightly off because he's bending his hands in for some reason. No, his hands. Yeah, so I was going to say his wrist. He is bending his wrist, but his hands are bending in, and it looks a little, just a smidge off, at least to me. You know, it's like, I'm sure that's due to like room within the vehicle mode and the transformation and how things go together. I don't think there's room for them to have stored the hands within the forearms. Man, just throwing it out there. We have the Wolf Cybertron Optimus Prime toy, not the Fall of Cybertron shit one, but this one was quite complex feeling, or fiddly. I remember feeling it again. This was 2010, so I probably haven't finagled with him since 2010. But I remember thinking for a deluxe, he felt maybe a bit more fiddly than I'd like him to feel for the time period. But again, this is a deluxe scaled Wolf Cybertron Optimus Prime. Pretty good, to be honest. He had a gun. I can't remember what the machine gun was called in the game. It probably had a specific name that I can't remember. It was spring loaded. I'm 90% sure of that. Let's check the blurb because I'm pretty sure. An undocumented transformation step includes flipping Optimus Prime's knees out in vehicle mode to form a back bumper with tail lights. Oddly, the toy itself and the package art show Optimus Prime with 4 fingers on each hand, while he has 5 fingers in the video game. Okay. That's something I wouldn't have noted, but yeah, okay. I guess that's a fun little thing to note. The vehicle mode picture on the stock image is minimally mistransformed. The exhaust pipes have not been fully rotated to hide the rifle storage by the grip. Oh wait, sorry. I missed a sentence. Rotated to hide the indentations against the vehicle body. That makes more sense. The instructions show the beam rifle plugged in by the shorter peg, but package depicts the rifle stored by its grip, which keeps the weapon higher off Prime's body, but also more secure. Oh, there you go. So he was a armored truck. Does it say anything else? No, it doesn't. But again, this was a pretty solid figure. I'm pretty sure it had wrist rotation, which for a figure of this size, kind of crazy. He had slight ankle tilts. No, I think you can see in the picture, they're not massive ankle tilts, but I want to say, and hold my feet to the fire here, I want to say they're on ball joints, but not like really posable ball joints, just like, the ball joints where you can just slightly tweak the ankle, just slightly tweak it, so slightly get an indentation there. I think it's more that than anything else. He does have a bit of a butt flap. You can see, like, behind his waist, he's got this big red panel behind him. But again, generally, for a deluxe size figure from 2010, is pretty good. And his vehicle mode, again, for what it is, which is granted a very odd design, but fine. It's a Cybertronian quote unquote truck mode, so You give it a little bit of leeway. You're like, okay, all right, okay. I think design-wise, the way that the legs are blue, and then the side panel from the side of the side of the calf muscle flips up to the truck mode, and you've just got this weird bit of blue next to all of the red. Looks a bit odd. I wish there was a bit of a nicer transition between the blue of the legs to the back of the truck mode, which is blue, to the red of the front truck mode. Wish there was a bit of a nicer blend there of the color kind of merging into the other, or just have it outright. The legs are blue, or the back of the truck's blue and the front of the truck's red. Might have been a bit nicer visually, but I think this personally is. I haven't handled the Voyager, but if we're talking about just visually, for a figure that came out in 2010 versus a figure that came out, like a couple of years ago, so like 10 years apart, is the Voyager 10 years better than this figure? I don't think it is. Like, if we look at a 2010 figure like this, and we go 10 years back, we've got like, is it Beast? No, we've got 2000 would have been like RID toys? Question mark? RID or Armada, and if we compare this to that, there's a big difference between the deluxe price then and the deluxe expectations from then to the deluxe expectations of 2010, and I don't think it's nearly as interesting now. But again, yep, good solid figure, I think, here. What did we get? This was redecoed into Unite Optimus Prime, obviously. Dark Side Optimus Prime and Tribute Optimus Prime. I would have liked to have seen Tribal Optimus Prime. That would have been interesting. I want to know what that would have been like. Okay, so the Unite one is what you would expect. It is a candy red Optimus Prime, metallic-y. It doesn't look like the legs have been metallicized, and it seems like his groinal region has been painted like pink for his lights. There's a bit more pinkage here, I guess, to kind of give the glow effect, because Bumblebee had the little lines on him, for the little red lines on him, to give that kind of energy glow effect. And for Prime, obviously, you can't really do the red on the red because it just doesn't make sense. So having the pink, I guess, makes a bit more sense. Did he have pink on his groin for the Unite? Oh, it did. No, he did. Or it's red. I think it might be red. It's a little hard to tell from the picture if the American one is red or if it's pink. It doesn't look nearly as starkly pink as the Japanese one, at least. Muzzy says, man, I miss the Armada figures. I remember having the Tidal Wave as a kid. Tidal Wave was really good. Energon Tidal Wave was better, though. Though I fear for how he's held up over the years, being 90% translucent plastic. He was that figure, but way cooler. I had the Energon one, actually. That's the cool one. That's the very cool one. Like, if someone was ballsy, a third-party company wanted to be like big swinging balls, what they could do is they could just make the Armada figures and just make the missing link version of them. Maybe tweak them a bit. Like, no one likes Skids. Not Skids. Yeah, Skids. No one liked Skids. Skids was a shit toy then. He's a shit toy now. But maybe, figures like Tidal Wave, it was just universally fun. He's a fun figure with lots of posability and all that jazz. Nothing wrong with the Titan one, but, that's a really big, expensive figure versus the Ultra, I think it was classed as then, Ultra, which was Ultra is pretty good. It was a pretty good figure. I remember the lightning. Yeah, the lightning effects, but I don't think you'd get cool stuff like that on a figure like that now. That was a really fun, like, Tampo paint app. That was a neat one. Optimus Prime wise, here we have Darkseid Optimus Prime. Unsurprisingly, Darkseid Optimus Prime is the Nemesis Prime Black Convoy style. It's teal, it's black, it's gray. It's exactly what you expect. It has a Decepticon insignia, if that's a big deal for you. If you're like, well, my Scourge has to have the upside down G2 logo, or it has to have an Autobot insignia just to make things complicated, just for reasons. This one's the Decepticon one. So maybe this is Black Convoy, because isn't Black Convoy a Decepticon? Like, just Decepticon? I can't remember. Either way, not a shock. That's kind of the style of the time. And then the last one was the tribute one. What's it say? This also included a redeco of Generations Wolf Cybertron on Optimus Prime, which changes the original figure's dark red plastic to a brighter, more vibrant red, changes the grey plastic to a darker charcoal tone, changes the windows? His boob windows. His boob windows from grey to nearly black and replaces most of the original figure's pinkish red detail with yellow deco from Rage over Cybertron 3-pack to teal. Let's have a quicker look at it. Like, it's okay. It's fine. In terms of a redeco, I don't know how I feel about the really dark metallic-y plastic they've used for his like torso and his like thighs and his hands. That might be a little too dark. I think. I like the boob windows being black with the blue running through them. I think changing that the pinkish detail to the blue is a bit nicer. It doesn't work as well on the knee, because on the knee obviously it's like teal blue on dark navy blue, so it's not as like poppy as pink. But the teal I think works better on the boobs. It works better on just under the boobs where the quote unquote faux headlights would be, and then on the like the sides of the shoulders that actually look like machine guns from a Gundam suit. So I think that, it's not a massive improvement. It's definitely like a I just go with the original, thanks, but this is fine, I guess. I said it's fine, nothing crazy, and that's Generation Prime. Now, one that I really, really like is probably my favorite of the line, and it's not like a great figure, I realize that, but what I loved most about this one, which is Cybertronian Wolf Cybertron Megatron, is how it felt in hand. It felt really big and dense and chunky for a deluxe figure, had good weight to it. It had good, big, spreaded feet as well. It's not a perfect figure. I think mine's missing its missile, because I bought it secondhand. I can't remember how I got mine, but I got mine much later after the fact, and I think maybe I got it off eBay. Didn't come with its missile. Not a big deal. Don't really care about firing missile gimmick, guys. I don't give a shit. I don't care. But the Cybertronian Megatron, I actually preferred this design for Wolf Cybertron Megatron than I did for his Fall of Cybertron. His Fall of Cybertron design, it's not bad. There's just something about this design I liked a little more. I would have liked this guy to have not been molded in Hasbro gray plastic. If they could have done it in the gunmetal that we've seen a couple of times, obviously in different series, I think that would have been a bit nicer. He does have opened-ish hands, which is a shame because when you're pointing his fusion cannon, he's, that should have a closed fist when he's aiming his fusion cannon. But there's nothing going into his hands either, so it doesn't look quite as weird as like Bumblebee with slight open hands holding something. He does have, again, slight ankle tilts, so he was able to do something. I don't think he had a waist articulation, though, which is a bit of a shame. Good fusion cannon. It was the video game's fusion cannon, and then he turned into a Cybertronian tank. Bit of a brick, to be honest. A bit of a bricky kind of tank. It's, okay, so Wolf Cybertron Megatron is as much of a tank as G1 Scourge is a spaceship. You look at it and you're like, okay. And that's how I feel when I look at Megatron's tank mode from Wolf Cybertron. You look at it and you're like, okay. A nice little feature they have is because the hands split in half, or the forearms split in half, they give you the tank treads, so you can either have the tank in tank mode with its treads on the ground, or you can fold them underneath the tank and have it in its quote-unquote hover mode. Again, a nice feature. A feature that wasn't carried over for Bumblebee or Optimus Prime, because they also had the kind of hover mode so you could shoot within the vehicle mode. If you've never played Wolf Cybertron, it's worth playing. Fall's better. Wolf Cybertron's still fun enough. And that it's interesting that Megatron's the only one that had this gimmick feature, minor feature, because it didn't really change the figure or anything like that. But yeah, this one I think is really good. I still like it. I've still got a lot of affinity for it. It's not the most posable figure, especially by 2026 standards. But for 2010, this was a really good, solid Megatron. I really like it a lot. Muzzy says, I was in the Smiths the other day. It's insane how much a deluxe figure costs. Oh, bro, tell me about it. Oh, oh boy. Only got back into collecting a few years ago. It really does put you up. Yeah. I'm like 2 off from having the full 86 Constructicons, Studio Series 86 Constructicons, and I keep looking at them and I'm like, you're a minor. It's maybe not even an upgrade from the Combiner Wars one. Do I really want to spend 20 quid? This is discount 20 quid on Scavenger, who doesn't look great, and then like 35 on Mixmaster just to have a Devastator. I'm like, I don't know, man. There are a lot of Transformers, unfortunately, that I kind of feel that way at the moment when I'm like, oh, bro. Because this figure, this Megatron that I'm gushing about, he would have. I think they'd increased the price. Because I think classics were around 10 to 12, and I think maybe this from 2010, maybe they'd gone to 13, 14. By Titan's Return, they'd gone to £16. I definitely remember that. Titan's Return were £16. I want to say maybe these were a little bit more for Generations, but I'm not. Maybe these were 15. Not entirely sure. It's insane. I remember watching your reviews back in 07. Oh, Jesus Christ. Those figures looked way better. I mean, this line, the Generations line, if you don't have these Generations figures, they're like, there's not, I don't think there's a, I'm looking at the titles in the top. I don't think there's a bad one. I mean, granted, some of them we've covered in previous shows, like the classics, who got done, Thrust and Dirge. So they're not great because they're just like reuses of older figures. But yeah, I don't get how 35 is a norm for figures. No, I don't either. It's just unfortunately how it goes. Unfortunately, it's kind of lame. For the War for Cybertron Megatron, he did get a couple of redecos. He obviously got the Japanese deco. He got the Dark Side Megatron, who is sick, if it's the one I'm thinking of. And then there is the Knights of Unicron Megatron, and for some reason they've not put it as a redeco, but there's one underneath that called Rage Over Cybertron. So the Rage Over the Cybertron one, I wouldn't say this is a better Megatron. It's the legs are completely black. They have translucent purple plastic on the kneecap, but the kneecaps are more red. The thighs are gray plastic, I think, then sprayed over with a purple plastic. And then his fusion cannon's translucent blue or purple. It's a really interesting looking figure, but it's not one that I'd ever want. You look at it and you go, oh, okay. I don't know what they're going for. This to me almost feels like maybe, almost like it's edging towards Tron. It's almost edging towards a Tron style. And I think it might be because the fusion cannon's kind of like this bluey translucent purple, but then the actual missile inside is red, and then you have extra details on it, like the missile firing gimmicky button at the top is red, and then the detail at the back of the gun is red. So there's something just a little Tron, at least for me, about it. It's not quite there. It's almost like a really cool scheme or interesting, unique kind of exclusive, but it's just for me missing the mark just a little bit. It's just off by a little bit. So we got the Unite one. So the Unite one, at least in these images, they go for a much, much darker, like metallic-y gray. It almost looks like it's got flicks of brown in there as well. So it's not like a solid gray. It's just a smidge, tiny little bit of brown coloring in there as well. So it's not just like dark metallic gunmetal gray, but it's almost a little bit brownish as well. It's a really nice looking figure. It's probably more accurate, I would say. It's odd because this one is not like metallic painted like the Prime and the Bumblebee had the very, very obvious like gold paint on the bee and red cherry metallic color on the Optimus Prime. This doesn't have that for whatever reason. I don't know why. Maybe it's the way that it transforms. They were like, if we paint this up in metallic-y colors, he's just going to scratch it off himself. I don't know. It's a good looking Megatron, to be fair. It's like I say, it's maybe better than the original one, than the Hasbro one, I should say, but I'm not entirely sure. The Dark Side Megatron, again, this is a pretty nice looking Megatron. Oddly enough, thinking about it, it's got a little bit of the stealth bomber Megatron look, the IDW Megatron look that would see like in 2011. Let me check because I've got the page up. Why guess when I can just check? Stop being stupid. 2013. So in 2013, they have almost this color scheme. It's not exactly 1-to-1 this color scheme, but it's like black and the same kind of color Decepticon purple, but it's primarily black. So again, this is a better interesting look color wise than the almost Tron look, I think. His legs aren't just black, and his torso isn't, or his abdomen isn't just black either. Specifically, like his shins and his torso and the fusion cannon itself aren't black. They're purple, but instead of like with a smidge of brown, like the previous Unite Warriors one is, this is almost like with a smidge of like purple, I'd say, in there. So it's just it's tinting it over to be a bit more purpley, but it's not purple. It's still clearly like a grayish, blackish color, but then with a tiny little kiss, just a kiss on the cheek. Again, great figure. Really like this a lot. And then, oh, that's right, the Knights of. I was like, what's the Knights of Cybertron? So the Knights of Cybertron is a unique version of the Megatron Wolf Cybertron mold, where they it was the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, where they dressed them up all as punk rock, like 80s band members. So Megatron's thighs are teal with black leopard spots on them. His feet and most of his gray area looks like somebody sneezed hippie paint on him, like pattern-wise. The colors are like purple, pink, and red and yellow. So it's that kind of sneeze. He has a zebra styled tie, a leather jacket. Oh, sorry, not a jacket, a leather vest, and then a big kind of fluffy piece to go behind his head. The Knights of Cybertron was a really interesting little special kit, to be fair. A San Diego Comic-Con set. It was a really, really fun little set, to be fair. I appreciated it for what it was. I completely forgot this was the mold that they used for the figure. It's great. I do think maybe they should have switched out. It would have cost money because it would have had to do remolding. I do wish they'd changed the fusion cannon maybe to what the box art was. And instead of, at least the artwork was, instead of giving him a fusion cannon, just give him a guitar instead. Get rid of one accessory, give him the full, like, electric guitar. Still, very good. Highly recommend this figure. At least I love it a lot. It's a personal fave of mine. It's not like a crazy transformation. It's a really quick, easy transformation and just got good heft to him. Next up, we have the Wolf Cybertron Soundwave. The first one, the Generations one. Proportionally, a little bit on the slender side, I will admit. But again, I really like this figure. He does have slightly too big feet. Like, his feet feel a bit... Well, it doesn't help that the top of the roof of the car mode, or monster car mode, whatever kind of car mode it is. So they're completely flat. So his feet feel a little bit odd in that sense. Just because you've got the silver of his foot, and then you've got this big blue flat piece effectively stuck to the bottom of his foot, because that's obviously the car. Yeah, so proportionally a little bit off, not entirely right. But again, a fairly satisfying, nice feeling figure. I remember the transformation being, again, good on this guy. You can open up his cassette chest. Obviously, there's no cassettes in here, but it is where you store both of his guns. His shoulder cannon stores in there as well. Is it his guns that store in there? I want to say it's his guns that store in there. It's been a while since I've finagled with mine, but I'm pretty sure it does. And his normal kind of handgun stores in there probably as well, unless I've misremembered that. But I'm pretty sure I've got that right. Pretty sure I've got that right. Wrist rotations, slight ankle joints. This one does have a waist joint. This one's a pretty good, solid figure and transforms into his weird monster truck 4x4 thingy mobile doodad. And it again looks good for the weird thing that it is. Let me read the blurb on him, see if there's anything specific. Yes, I was right. It does store in his boobs. His guns do store in his boobs. Soundwave head features light piping gimmick, but the effect is neutralized by a painted visor. Yeah, there were figures that did that for some reason around this kind of era. I don't know why. It's not a good idea, but it is a thing that they did. So in terms of redecos, not much, to be honest. He got the Unite versions and the... what do you call it? The Knights of Unicron version. We'll have a look at the Japanese version first. Not massively different again. They've actually done him up in the metallic-y blue paint. I don't like this one as much. They've removed the yellow off of the tape deck and they've changed that into more of a silverish kind of color. So he's missing the classic Soundwave yellow on his chest, which just feels kind of wrong. But they have included purple, lilac-y kind of color to, again, try and get that effect of like the glowing internal energon flowing through his body. I'm not sure it entirely works here. I think the American one does a better job of conveying a nicer looking Soundwave. It might not be accurate. I'm not entirely sure. It has been a while since I played War for Cybertron. But I think just like in terms of visuals, I prefer the American version. The American, yes, the American version. Not the American version, the American version. And then, as I say, we got the Knights of Cybertron version. Where he is, what does he call that? Like a bluish purpley kind of color. They replaced his yellow with orange. He looks kind of like what I would think, color scheme wise, maybe a G2 Soundwave would have looked like. Like when they were playing it somewhat safe with G2. So like G2 Sideswipe, the first one, the black and red one, where it's like it's not too crazy, but it's crazy enough. G2 Starscream, where he's effectively Starscream colors, but he's got more gray in him. I think this color scheme could have worked for G2. Kind of Soundwave. Black, purplish, kind of blue, bit of orange. And then for this special figure, it's also got like a headband with a mohawk. He comes with a microphone, a gigantic microphone, like a comically large microphone. He's also holding the microphone because it's a 5mm pause. He's holding it from like the very, very bottom. You know, when you hold a microphone, you hold it near the top, you know, near the microphone part, near the part where your voice would go into. You don't hold it all the way at the bottom where the cable would be, generally speaking, unless you're doing an interview with someone and you're trying to get that, length. And then he's got a little armband, a little yellow scarf on his armband. Yeah, it's nice. It's weird again. Knights of Cybertron. I didn't think I'd talk about it as much as I have. Granted, I completely forgot about the Knights of Cybertron, so I guess it lives up to that. No repaint into Sound Blaster, strangely enough. That is odd. No Sound Blaster. Just the one version of the figure. And then obviously Japan gets theirs, and then a random San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. Kind of odd. Next up, we have Drift. Lovely little boy Drift. He has a few versions. Oh, he has more versions than I thought, to be honest. But okay, we'll go through the first version of Drift. Drift came with a decent amount of stuff. He came with his Matrix Blade, and he also came with two smaller, not really katanas, not exactly wakasashis. Wakasashis is what they're called. They're slightly bigger than that, but they're meant to kind of have that function. You could store all of the swords on the bodies. The small wakazashis, if that's what they were kind of going for, are stored on the inside of the doors, and they are hip skirts, so it's a perfect place for them. And the Matrix Blade has a specific dedicated clip on the back which you could slide it into. Now, an issue with all three of these swords they are weak, jelly-like, wobbly plastic. So they're a little bit on the lame side. They're not very pleasant to hold, and you're like, oh. He does have some other issues as well. His legs. I wish there was some sort of joint in the foot, just for some tilt there. His feet, his legs, like again from his like knee downwards, it feels like a really big piece that doesn't really do a lot. And it's like, ugh, I wish it did a little bit more. But again, generally, this is a pretty nice figure. He has ball jointed wrists, but there is a cut on the inside of the wrist, so the wrist can actually bend inwards as well, which allows for a lot of like double-handed sword poses. So that was great that they did that. He's got double elbow joints. He's got bicep swivel, all that jazz. There's a joint on his shoulder. It's a ball joint on the shoulder, and then that ball joint is connected via a, what do you call it? It's not really a peg. Let's just say a piece of plastic for easiness sake, so you can lift the shoulders up and down a little bit, if I remember right. So he's quite a posable figure from like upwards. Again, it's just like the legs where you're like, man, this figure would have been much better if those legs had a bit more in them just to make them transform a little bit more. But he's a good figure as well. And for like an IDW comic character exclusive to be done with a toy this good it was really nice. A good head sculpt as well. Welcome Rodimus Power Toy Collector. He waves. Too late, like always. Don't worry. But with a higher play back speed, it will work out. That's true. You get to hear me very quickly. I can't imagine that'd be fun, but never mind. His car mode's really nice as well. They replicated it great. They've got the kanji on the side of the car. It's a good toy. Again, a really nice toy. Again, 2010, a deluxe figure that looks like this and does this much. It was really good. I think it was really good. Let's read what it says on the wiki. Drift transforms into a Nissan Silver. That's a weird way to spell silver. S15 and a Mitsubishi FTO. I'm sure that means something to someone in the audience. Drifts to shorter dual swords. Those are the Wakazashis kind of things which I mentioned. Still on the doors, which I mentioned. While the larger one goes in the grooves on the back, which I mentioned. It can also be stored in robot mode, which I mentioned. Yeah, I didn't mention that the sword can be stored on the underside of the car mode. So that's kind of nice in itself. Behind the windscreen kibble is his pre-Earth chest design in a nod to form drift. In a nod to the form drift had been seen exclusively at the time of the toy's unveiling. Dual wrist points, which I mentioned before. His larger sword particularly prone to warping because I mentioned it was made of soft plastic because underneath the car it kind of messes it up. Yep. While Drift's Earth design showed him spawn a katana on his doors, the toy instead sports a kanji. Sorry. Okay, katakana on the doors. Let's say that's okay. He has kanji samurai on the door. Okay, so they're just saying that that's different. The kanji's a bit different. So, in terms of redos, he had a couple. He was done into. Hang on, let's not do that. Let's not do it that way. Let's do it this way. So he was done into Blur. There's also a Platinum Edition Blur for the Autobot version. There's also the Shattered Glass Drift for Fun Pub. And Japan got the United Warriors version of him and the United Warriors versions of Blur. And there was an E-Hobby Legends LGEX Deadlock. I was making sure I said that right. So, okay, let's look at Blur. Blur, they did a couple of remolds too. Nothing crazy. They remolded his head to be more blurry. And instead of giving him the swords, they gave him effectively a gigantic sniper rifle. Changed his color scheme to be blur as well. Not a bad reuse of the mold, to be fair. Let's read what it says. Tool changes involve the head, which I mentioned, and a less prominent spoiler. Oh, there you go. Is that true? Yeah, okay. The spoiler on the back of the card is not as high off the back of it. Oh, okay, fair enough. A large sniper rifle to replace Drift's longsword, and 2 small handguns to replace the small swords. Oh, okay, well, there you go. And modified inside panels to accommodate said handguns. The head sculpt was inspired by Guido Guidi's design from the Spotlight Blur series. The sniper rifle has a pivoting handle in the middle, so Blur can hold the rifle easily with both fists. while the handguns can be plugged into the ends of the barrel, forming a bipod. Oh, that's neat. Oh, that's what this bit is. Or if you feel like you can, if you feel like a crazy 3-barreled sniper rifle. Okay, well, that's neat. For some reason, the ankle strut molded in translucent plastic is completely painted over. That is odd. I didn't realize the ankle struts were like that. Oh yeah, you can see the handguns are here. I didn't notice that before. So again, I didn't get this one myself because I already had drift, and I didn't care enough to get blur because blur whatever. But for a repaint, yeah, it's good, and it matched the IDW version. So again, sure, why not? We also got the Platinum Edition, which was the same figure that we'd seen before. But again, I guess you could say in more blur, standard G1 blur colors. So he has more like baby blue on him. He's got metallic, darker ocean blue maybe on him. He's got the blue on him in robot mode is really broken up quite nicely. You've got very, very dark ocean blue. You've got the light blue on the shins, then a dark blue again for the thighs, going into kind of a nice mix. His boob window is in that different colored blue as well. It's the same color as his head and his forearms. So there's actually, like the way I'm describing it, to me, if I was listening to how I'm describing it, it would sound messy. Like there's all these different blues and they're just higgledy-piggledy all over the place. They're not. When you actually look at the figure, the Generations Platinum Edition, I think it comes together really nicely, to be honest. And it does look better than the standard blur. This one looks a lot better. What's this say? This was an offering for 2016 intended for the commemorative 30th anniversary series. The Transformers the movie is a more, in quotation, screen accurate blur. I would agree with that. I don't think that's in quotations. I think it is more accurate, as close as they can do. With the primary plastic color being classed in a more vibrant shade of blue and featuring additional new paint operations, including painted rims, with the end result looking similar but not identical to the United version. Let's have a look at the United version. That's not the United version. That's the United version. There it is. Okay. Let's put them at least side by side. Generations. There's the United version. Oh, I don't like the United one. No, come on. Yeah, okay, the United one, they've got a blue head, but then the face is silver, and then he's got a really big blue chin. While the Platinum version has like a lighter blue for his head, and then like a teal for the faceplate, which again is more accurate to what a G1 blur would be. I think it just looks a bit nicer. Yeah, there's a lot more color and color separation on this Platinum Edition, which for something called Platinum Edition, you would expect, right? It sounds fancier, and it certainly looks it. Oops, I clicked off the wrong thing. Here we go. And again in robot mode, in car mode, the way that they've done the paint apps is a bit more interesting. The way they've painted it in Japan is the deco is kind of similar to the standard American version, where it's just like a light blue blob oval shape from like the bonnet of the car to like the back window of the car, and the rest surrounding that is a metallic blue. While the Platinum version is this, I don't know, like it's light blue, and then it goes into points, really thin points that go just underneath the window screen. There's a white line on the top of the chest that goes to the back. It's just nicer. It's just better looking, I think. I don't think there's anything else specific about this. Oh, this was an exclusive, which makes sense. This was a 5-pack that included Ultra Magnus, the one that has Minimus Ambus, Autobot Springer, RC, and Sergeant Cup. The set also included a recreation of the theater poster for the 86 movie. In the United States, this was a Target exclusive, blah, 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 exclusive, blah, 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 blah. Who cares? But yeah, and we've talked about the United version, so we don't really need to linger there. We have, did we talk about any other? Oh, United version of Drift, as it shunted me up to the top of the page again because it hates me. Show me the toys. Okay, United Drift is cast apparently in a brighter white plastic, a cooler grey, and features more paint apps in vehicle mode and on his head, arms, and chest to make him more accurate to his comic book appearance. The the light red of the Hasbro version is more crimson in color, and the sword grey is slightly altered from the Hasbro release. I'll take your word for it. It doesn't look substantially different. I think it looks a little different, but not massively different. Not to the point where I'm like, shit, I've got the American version and it's terrible. This looks okay. This looks good enough, at least to me. It's fine. I don't feel there's much to talk about with it though. So the Timelines version, accessories, 2 dual swords, one on the left, one large sword, and then the left and the right pistol. So he came with everything that Blur did, apart from Blur's massive sniper rifle. So this is actually not a bad set, to be honest. 2 guns, 2 small swords, 1 big sword, and his color scheme is they've kind of inverted the color scheme. So instead of him being a white car that has red detail on him, he's a red car with white detail on him. Got this the kanji on the front of the bonnet as well, which looks really nice. This is good. It's on the side of the car. They've got these white lines going, and it almost looks like the front wheel is meant to be the red rising sun on the Japanese flag, and you've got that kind of design of the white lines coming out, giving the kind of Japanese national flag kind of look to it, which looks pretty good. I don't know if that's what they were intending. I think they probably were. But that's what I'm kind of getting from it. In robot mode, I think he looks a little bit plain and boring. He could have done with for a special figure. I would have liked maybe a bit more paint detail, maybe on the thighs, maybe a bit more on his forearms, maybe a bit more on the chest. Would have been nice. But again, not too bad, not too bad. And then we got the Deadlock figure, which is really nice actually. This is the Japanese one, so this is probably not desperately easy to get, I would guess. It's classic Drift in black, red, and purple and gold. These are the Deadlock color schemes before he became an Autoboto. As seen in the mini series, the Drift mini series, and Cloud Comics text stories. I don't remember them. He comes with his great sword in black and replaces 2 small swords with the 2 pistols from Blur, which can combine into a bipod with the sniper rifle. Also, he gets the sniper rifle as well. He features Blur's minor retooling on the inner doors to accommodate for the blue pistols, which makes sense. Deadlock is an eHobby exclusive with 2 comics, Decepticon Jaeger Deadlock and Volume EX of the Legends bonus comics. So let's have a look at it. Looks pretty good. The details on the car mode make him look interesting again. The white head. I will say that like he's got white helmet and then like black eyebrows. So he looks really angry, almost like cartoonishly angry. But this is a good repaint, to be fair. And it's interesting that between like, oh wait, does he come with the sniper rifle as well? Yeah, he comes with everything. So this version of Blur, this version of Drift, my god, I couldn't remember his name. I had to look at the name. This version of Drift comes with every accessory that this mold has had. That's pretty good. You are paying more because it's a special version of the figure, but again, for something that's painted like this, I think it's not too bad. It's 2016, so this mold at this point was 6 years old. So I think it's probably a bit of a harder sell. A 6-year-old mold that is an exclusive, so probably more expensive as well, from Japan. A bit of a harder push. If it came out like a year later, like 2011, I think this would have been a maybe not very sought after figure, but I think it would have had like a big push. I wouldn't be shocked. So again, this is a good solid figure. We've got Straxus next, Dark Mount. The first time we'd had Straxus ever, so I know a lot of people were really happy about this. I don't know Straxus. I still don't. I just know his design. So I wasn't like super thrilled to get him, but I was like, yeah, okay, looks neat. Turns into a mobile gun shooty, not tank, but kind of tank thing. Design-wise, his robot mode's really good and solid. I've mentioned this before that I think the worst part about the figure is, pardon, how much his parts clatter against each other when you're transforming him. I won't linger on it too much just because I have talked about it multiple times. I like the fact he comes with his giant pickaxe, and his pickaxe forms the turret for his gun. He is a quote-unquote triple changer, as he can quote-unquote take a battle station, battle platform mode, but effectively it just kind of means untransforming the back and raising the turret up a little bit. So it's like, yeah, okay. It definitely has more of a fan mode feel to it than anything else. So he does incorporate, because I haven't really mentioned this, he does incorporate the 3mm clip system. And he does have like 3mm weapons as well. Three 3mm weapons. Well, that's a fun sentence. He comes with a missile pod, which is his best one. He comes with kind of a machine gun and then a grenade smoke launcher. And the issue is the weapons go reasonably well in vehicle mode. Reasonably well. They stick out a little bit on the sides and don't look exactly like they're part of the figure. However, in robot mode, they have no place to go because all of those millimeter clips are really situated on his legs because they're the top of the turret. Now, you could say, but Andy, he does have a couple on the side of his treads, and it's like, yes, he do. However, the way that you put those on kind of means that they don't go exactly as you'd hope they would do in his robot mode. They just feel kind of awkward, and I can't remember, there's like one or two of them that when you put them up there, they just don't quite fit in a nice way. So it's like, it feels like the 3mm clip system is definitely an afterthought. Someone went, hey, put it on this figure, and they're like, okay, how about this? And they're, it's fine. Luckily, I don't think it really detracts from the figure. They're just like mediocre accessories that don't really work too well. He does have an opening hand gimmick as well, so his fingers, like all 4 fingers, unfurl, and you can stick his pickaxe in that way. I'm assuming that was just there because, like, how else are we gonna get him to hold it? The way that it's designed, there's no place to like break it apart and then slide it in between his hands. So it's just like, I'll just have him have opening hand, I guess. Those hands are on a ball joint as well, so you can twist and twizzle his hands around, which is nice. Again, he has a pseudo, well, it's not a pseudo, it is an ankle tilt, but it's, again, not a crazy good one. It's okay. I think this figure falls in more of a, I like it, but it's more of an okay figure than oh yeah, this is really cool. In terms of its mold. That's how I feel about it anyway. Does it say anything about the thingy here? No, I don't see anything specific about interesting stuff. So Strexus from Japan, what did they do? They changed the color on his arms. His arms were more gray for the American version, and they've changed them to blue, I guess to make him more comic accurate. I think because his thighs are blue and his like bicep and shoulders are blue, but mainly the main robot is like a darker blue. It's just a little too much blue. The gray helped break up the coloring on him a lot better. It just kind of all mushes together in one blue blob kind of color, unfortunately. So they either had to do more with the blue and pull it into interesting ways to like the Platinum Edition Blur did. They had to do something a bit more with this, I think. I prefer visually the American version to this one, though this one is probably more accurate. So comic fans might kind of twizzle more to this than they would do the American version. I don't know. That's just a guess. He was also done into... let's just check there's nothing else. This mold was redecoed into Timelines, Shattered Glass, the Bard of Darkman. I remember that. That was a really cool repaint. And also into Skullgrin as well. So yes, that's right. I really like this repaint, the Timelines one, because they've colored him in a sand color. sandy kind of color instead of the blue, black instead of gray, and then for some reason like a snot green kind of color as well. So he's got a really interesting look to him. I don't know. Again, I guess maybe he would be like a desert kind of vehicle, but I think it looks pretty cool. I like the snot green because you don't really see that on a lot of Transformers, I feel. And it going with like a desert kind of yellowy kind of color and a black. It's an interesting look to it. I'm surprised they didn't just go with like desert camo color, because that would have been like an easier option to go with. That would have still been opposite from the standard version. But this is nice. This works really nicely. Mold obviously hasn't changed at all, but there you go. And Skullgrin is a slight retool because they've remolded his head. Otherwise, it's the same figure. And this was the first Skullgrin we'd had in, well, probably the first figure, to be honest. And what was the next figure? Oh, yeah, we haven't had many Skullgrins. I say this is probably, I say this is better than the original figure because the mold is better. It still has the issues of it clattering around, but it's not dog shit like the last Skullgrin figure that we got. The head design, it's an attempt of the skull bull head shape, but it's more mechanical. Because I'm sure the designers went, well, we can't just put a bull skull on a robot. That doesn't make sense for this figure, and it would look silly. So they went, well, how can we interpret that design into a like robotic metal look? And I think they did a reasonable job. So you look at it, you go, yeah, that's Skullgrin. That works well enough. I think they did a good job here, and it was a neat idea for a repaint and a slight retool. Because he would have gone like, oh yeah, we'll make Straxus. Because who the fuck's Straxus? And then we'll turn him into Skullgrin. Again, who would have thought of that? Not today's Transformers people, I don't think, unfortunately. Next up, we have a figure who, again, I don't think... No, we haven't. We haven't had a figure from, because I'm not counting a Titan's Return Titan Master. We've only had a couple of figures of this guy. It's Thunderwing. Thunderwing being a pretty basic Transformer in terms of how he actually transforms from his robot mode to his jet mode. However, I like this figure quite a bit. Again, he's not the most articulated figure. He could have done with some ankle rockers. His thighs could have been a bit better proportioned. Again, his chest area is maybe a little bit on the too big side. But they got all the detail of the Thunderwing shell. They managed to capture his jet mode reasonably well as well. And they even gave him a little drone, so you can pop it off the nose cone, and you have this not great looking little floaty drone, but it works well enough, and his two guns can sort of combine together. Details wise, this guy is really nice. Again, in terms of how he transforms, it's not amazing. It's good enough, I think. Like, I'm pretty sure a lot of people kind of shitting on him back in the day, but I liked him because it was an interesting look, and it was again Thunderwing, or rather, specifically Thunderwing's shell, which is a great look, and I wish we had more of. Also, the way that the wings of the jet mode kind of go behind him and splay out gives him a good look. It almost looks like a metallic cape. Which I'm down with. Could this guy have done with being like a leader of Voyager? Yeah, definitely could have done with that. But in 2026, would Thunderwing get a dedicated mold that is primarily his mold? I don't think so. I'd be surprised. So, yeah. But like I say, I like this a lot. Apparently, he's loosely based off an F-22 Raptor. It is very loose. And it's an homage to the Stormbringer version of Thunderwing's face and feet, and just, that kind of idea. At BotCon 2010, the Hasbro team noted that they wanted to make the aerial drone unit transform into a robot, but weren't able to due to budget reasons. That's a shame. Makes sense, would have been pretty cool, but again, if he had been a Voyager, not that there were Voyagers for this line of figures at all, that might have given them the opportunity to work a bit more on him and maybe given him that transforming drone, which would have been very cool. The toy is slightly mistransformed in the packaging, with the chest section concealing his head in jet mode. Oh, that's right. His little kind of chest, this green chest area, was meant to flip up over his head. It's just a piece that you pulled out from the chest and flipped up over the head. Nothing crazy or anything like that. In terms of redecos, not a lot. We have the Unite Warriors version, which changed him from cream to more of a whitey color. I think it even says here. Let's read. The Thunderwing deco from Japan, his robot mode is approximate to the colors of the original toy rather than the Marvel appearance. So if you wanted the toy version, the Japanese had a more accurate version. It achieves this by changing the green plastic on his arms for gray and green plastic on his thighs and waist for black plastic. The clear orange plastic is now cherry red. The light green and the dark green paint is high gloss forest green. Yes, forest green. And the blue blue paint is slightly darker. His light gray plastic is now cream colored. Last but not least, the purple plastic is a very light purple. I would say lilac personally, but what do I know? The soft plastic spikes on Thunderwing's arms are much softer than either his generation's counterpart or Sky Shadows. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder why that is. So, again, I wouldn't look at this and go personally like this is a must-get version compared to the American version. And I think if I was going to have a Thunderwing, I think I'd rather have him look more like the comic version than the toy. Not that I've read any of the stories Thunderwing is in, apart from Don Figueroa's Stormbringer, but if I got to choose which version I'd go for, it would personally be, the cartoon version, which is the version I have, so I got nothing to complain about. So, retools of this mold, we had Sky Shadow, and then we had Adventures did their Japanese version for Black Shadow, as well as a 2012 Metal Hawk as well. Thunderwing's instructions initially depicted him with Sky Shadows. That's right. I forgot. During the 2010 period, that's how we learned about like future mold reuses and stuff like that. They just went, "Here's your instruction mold. It's got a new head on it. I wonder who that could be." And it was a nice thing to do. I think it was pretty fun. It's like, oh, there you go. Now, granted, the news sites kind of do most of that lifting now, but that was a nice little thing, I thought. So, a year later, we'd get Sky Shadow. They did remold bits, like his chest has been remolded, and he does have a new head. Otherwise, it is the same figure. Nicely repainted. He has really massive horns. That's, again, kind of accurate to what you would expect from a Sky Shadow, Black Shadow figure. It doesn't look like they changed anything else on it. I didn't get this one. I can't remember why. There's nothing wrong with this. I think maybe it's like, I don't really care about Black Shadow because he's only in like one episode of like Victory, so who gives a shit? Maybe that was the idea. The Japanese version is a little bit more intricately painted. Yeah, okay, let's read the differences. So, in mostly the same colors, but a significantly different layout, especially in his jet mode, the mold is a retool of Generations Thunderwing. They're not going to talk about the colors, so that's probably not worth talking about. But yeah, if you look at the two of these, yeah, you can see there's definitely a difference between them in terms of how they've been colored. I think the Japanese one... Yeah, I think the Japanese one might be a little bit nicer. It's a little cleaner. The chest has red around the boob area and then like a silver line around them, where the American one just has the red boob. So there's, again, a bit more detail put here. Jet mode. There's more silver on the Japanese one, so there's more silver to make, again, the jet mode pop a little bit more. Yeah, looks... this one's a bit more of a better buy than, I would say, the Japanese version, at least. And then we have Metal Hawk, which is not a terrible idea. And I think paint-wise, it works. Like the chest area, again, works pretty well. The problem was, and it's not super noticeable here, but I remember when this came out, the head mold's bad. The head mold's bad. It doesn't look quite right. It's in a pure unpainted helmet, and then you've got this very heavily painted skin tone. It just didn't look quite right. It's quite a small head as well. You could argue the standard Thunderwings head is maybe a bit on the small side, and I wouldn't disagree with you either. It just doesn't work well here as Metal Hawk. Like I say, it's a great idea, and it's almost there. But I think due to how the head's required to be a certain size to be head by the chest flipping up, I think that really kind of nerfed the potential of how high this could go with how good it could look. It's like, feels just off a little bit, just a smidge off, you know? So I'm like, meh. But the Thunderwing mold, again, a mold I enjoy. It's not the greatest of the line, but it's like yeah. I'm a fan. I like it. I like it a lot. Every now and again, I'll see him on my shelf and be like, oh yeah, I like you, Thunderwing. I like the cut of your jib. I like your face. I wish Hasbro would do a new one, but then it's the monkey's paw from The Simpsons, isn't it? It's I want a non-evil sandwich, and then it doesn't add mayo, and he's like, no, everything was perfect, but the evil monkey hand didn't add the mayo. What a bastard! Next up, we have Generations Scourge, which came out after the Cyclonus figure, and people were hoping was going to have a Target Master. It does not. It has an homage to the Target Master. So the weapon looks like the Target Master, but it's not the Target Master. And it's like, I never had this. I remember playing with Dave's when I've been around to his house in the past. And it wasn't bad. It didn't wow me. But this has a much, like, in terms of a redesign, this is pretty solid redesign. He transforms from, instead of being a, in quotations, spaceship / floating space soap bar, this one turns more into a futuristic-y stealth bomber. If you wanted to be mean, you could say paper airplane kind of design. Like, it's like, it's kind of a flying, like, it looks like it flies, at least. Like, it's got the shape of something that could fly compared to, you know, the original G1 figure. The head mold's really good on it. It allowed you to pop the head up just like that random time in the movie where he's like, you want me to get Ultra Magnus? And he's like, what are you doing? Get your head down, you stupid. You look like a moron. Get your head back in there. I don't remember him. Yeah, maybe I just didn't care. I don't know what it was that just made me go, about the mold. He's got nice details on his wings as well. It's just unpainted, so it's quite hard to notice on the lighter plastic. But he wasn't a bad one either. I just can't talk too much about him because I'd never had it personally myself. Scourge transforms into a jet loosely based on the Boeing X-48. Your favorite of jets. I know, chat. You've told me about it before. He comes with 2 weapons with 5mm ports. Can combine via the C-joint. Oh, well, okay. There you go. Into a weapon that looks like the Fracas gun mode, which is what I told you. So, haha. I'm not completely stupid. I'm just mostly stupid. These weapons can be stored inside of his cape, the cape half of his aircraft wings, which can unfold to create Scourge's cape, like bat wings in robot mode. Though it's not suggested in the instructions, the weapons with the C-clips can also attach to 3mm bars around his head-mounted laser. His head can also rise up an extra click farther than usual to reenact the hilarious character model mishap in vehicle mode. That's the head popping apart. Like many aircraft-based Transformers, Scourge possesses a landing gear. In his alt mode. There is a pair of flaps and blah blah blah. He's got flip down bits. But yeah, it's not a bad one. He's colored in standard Scourge colors. And for the Unite Warriors version, they colored the blue on him a slightly darker metallic blue, which isn't a huge shock. I do like the color blue that they used on the edge of the wings and the cockpit for the jet mode. I think that looks... Yeah, if you look at the American one, the blue line only goes around the cockpit and it's completely missed off of the wings, while the Japanese one continued that design that the American one did and just brought it down across the wings as well, which makes it more of a complete look in my eyes. This one does. I think he's got pinker nails as well, but it's a bit harder to tell. I think this looks again a little bit nicer than the American one. Not massive because they didn't go over the top of the metallic redos, but yeah, a little, just a smidge, just a smidge. So let's have a look at the other ones. There was 1, 2, 3. Oh my god, 4, 5. Oh my god, 6, 7, 8. Oh my god, that's a lot. And then maybe this one, which we'll talk about. Okay, so there was the Generations Ratbat figure. It said it was it says cancelled. Oh no, okay. So there were two. There was a Generations Ratbat, which was part of the 2-pack with Hardhead. Versus it was Ratbat versus Hardhead, which was it Hardhead? Hang on. Which pack was this? Was this not really? Hang on. Oh. Okay, I'm stupid. I apologize. So this was meant to be a figure released in Generations, which would have been a Hardhead figure with a versus Ratbat. Let me read the blurb, then I won't be stupid anymore. This figure would have been a pre-tool redeco of Generations Deluxe Class Scourge, which we talked about, utilizing an alternate head sculpt depicting Scourge's instructions, inspired by Ratbat's pre-war Senator body, as in IDW's Megatron Origins comic. It was intended to be released as part of a Toys R Us exclusive 2-pack with Hardhead, a redeco of Generations Warpath, which we're getting to, that would have been similar, which would have similar used the Toys alt head in the picture that intended a deco, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it would have been that. That mold was used, it seems, because I looked at this and was like, I remember this figure. So Japan released this figure as part of the 7th wave as the Takara Tomy Generations toy line. Ratbat is a pre-tool, blah blah blah, of Scourge we've talked about. This was unreleased Hasbro version, but features a considerable different deco. He transforms into a javelin, blah blah blah. So let's have a look at this. So this head was actually used again in the future, but this is the Ratbat figure. So it's all Scourge with a new head in purple and black, and it was pretty neat. It's a nice looking version and recreated the Senator Ratbat pretty successfully. You looked at it and went, oh, okay, yeah, you nailed it. Works well. Dark story for poor Ratbat, but an interesting one. This version of this version of Ratbat was then recolored and released in America. There it is. As Timeline's Serpent OR, or Serpentor, that weird crossover that they had. Will you load the image? There we go. So it's the same figure, but it's done in green and gold and a dark purple with the Cobra insignia on it. He doesn't have the whips or the big tentacles, which I remember him having in the comic, if I remember that right. But it was a decent, just like quick repaint that they used, and it was a way to get this mold over in America. Not in a desperately easy way, granted, but it was a way to get this figure over in America at the very, very least. There was also the Platinum Edition, the Armada of Cyclonus. So this was part of the Platinum offering of 2016, intended to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the movie. With Scourge with a redeco of this figure featuring transparent. I don't know why anybody would want this. Featuring transparent plastic to evoke his reformation. Okay, in the movie. So let's have a quick look at it. So yeah, his wings are translucent purple. His thighs are translucent purple. His gun, at least one part of the gun is translucent purple, and it seems like some of the internals are translucent as well. I don't know why you'd want this personally, but it's like, yeah, okay, well, yeah. Fair enough. It's like, okay. Oh, there was another one as well. Is that right? Oh, yeah, there was another one using the head that they use, or will use, as we'll get to it, for DevCon. Why did they do this? And why did you shut me out? This tooling only replaces the front half of Scourge's head, while it retains the rest remains unchanged. FunPub was unaware of of and did not have access to this head when making the BotCon 2012 DevCon figure. The figure also featured transparent plastic on several parts in the movie. So this is a different version, one without a mustache for whatever reason. But if you wanted multiple versions of Scourge, I guess it sweeps just with translucent plastic. I guess that was the thing. And we have DevCon, who had a different head but was done in DevCon colors. Otherwise, it's just like, yep, it's the same figure with blue and red. And again for DevCon, who had nothing, like this is pretty decent. And between like 2014 and then the next figure was 2023. And before that, there wasn't a DevCon. Not really. All the other DevCon figures had been cancelled previously, so this was the first one that had been made at that point. So, okay, well, fair enough. United version we've talked about, and yep, it seems like the last one is the Decepticons set. So, dubbed the Decepticons, dubbed Decepticons Scourge Blue, Purple, Clear version. This redeco of the 2010 mold is cast in transparent purple, purplish blue, translucent light blue, and opaque purple blue plastic. That's a lot of purples and blues. Emulating the scene from the movie where Scourge is created from Thundercracker. So it's the Japanese interpretation of what if we have the reformatted version, but it's not. It's just an excuse to have a translucent version of a figure. Let's be honest, because the Japanese, for some reason, love translucent versions of figures. It's just he's all in translucent purple. That's it. Yippee. I got nothing to say. I got nothing. And that's it. That's all of the Scourges, Scourge eyes. Scourgers. All right. So Scourge, not bad. Next up, we have Cup. Like, was this the... Oh, no, we'd had a Timelines Cup beforehand. But this was the first, like, main Cup we'd had in a long, long time. So this dubbed as Sergeant Cup, who we'd later get, like, upgrade kits for, where you could get the Cigar in his mouth. He came with an old school-ish looking cyber rifle with a C-clip. He came as a proper Earth mode truck rather than a kind of cyber truck. Pretty decent design. Has some holes in the shins just because of how his legs transform, which is a bit on the noticeable side. An interesting look for Cup. I've got this mold, not this version of the mold. I have a different version, which we'll talk about. But let's read some of the blurb. Despite appearance, his musket does not have a proper 5mm peg. Being slightly smaller, this makes it impossible for Cup to hold 5mm accessories without stretching and potentially damaging his hand. Coincidentally, it's about the same size as the smaller pegs on classic Grimlock's spring-loaded missile launcher, meaning he can swap weapons with that Grimlock figure. Oh, that's odd. That's very strange. He comes with his signature laser musket, which is blah, 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 blah. I read that as well. The musket can either plug into blah, blah, blah. Okay, so nothing desperately crazy. It's still your main Cup XL hedge. I mean, it's an interesting looking Cup. I think the only thing I wasn't a big fan of on this Cup was the head sculpt. It was a bit on the... I think it's the cheeks. The cheeks I didn't like too much. It felt like someone was starving my poor boy and he needed a meal. Now, I get it. He's old. I realize that your cheeks recess when you're old. But I think they were just a little... It reminded me a little bit too much of the bad IDW run where Don Fig tried to mix in movie designs and everything turned into a little bit of a nightmare. But he's got good color scheme. They've got the right blues on him and the grays and whatnot, or at least nice enough. This mold was done a couple of times. Let's get them all up. And that one, 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 and that one. Okay, let's go through them. So, we have... Autobot War... Is this the first one? Cup Autobot Warriors, a multi-pack figure. It was Generations Cup was a re-released with a 3-pack, so it doesn't look like he was any different there, so he was just re-released, fair enough. There was the GDO Swerve, which replaced his head. I gave him a new head, which again, for Swerve, looks a little bit of a strange head. But I will say they did get the color scheme correct for Swerve, and the color placement seems pretty spot on. Otherwise, it's the same figure with a new head. Does it work well for Swerve? Color scheme wise, yes. Robot wise or vehicle mode wise, no. Doesn't look quite right. Also, having him with an old school musket feels weird because that's very much an old man Cup thing. It's like, okay, well, fair enough. There was the Platinum Edition, which I imagine goes alongside the Platinum Edition blur that we talked about earlier. So this was done in a much more screen accurate version of his color scheme. Oh, this one is definitely more of his color scheme. I guess because it's the Platinum version. It's just like the blur that we talked about earlier, where he has better color placement, more paint apps. It looks nicer. It does look nicer. And if you wanted a proper G1 version of this version of the figure, this I guess would be the one I'd recommend because it looks really good. To be honest, it's like, oh, okay, well, fair enough. It's not quite as extensive as Blur with its color separation, but better than the standard release, I'd say. Then for timelines, for a BotCon set, he was done into Machine Wars Termination. So he has a new head that combines the elements of his own head and Electro's, which is another figure we'll talk about. He's done in black, primarily black, with some lines on him and a tampon on his bum, and he's got a dark kind of purpley maroon kind of color on him. It looks reasonably nice. I'd say it's a shame that they've gone with completely Machine Wars design for the head because all they've painted on the head are the eyes, so it's pretty much just a black head, which is it kind of loses a little bit of the detail there. But I do like the general color scheme otherwise. I just think the face needs just a little bit more color on it to make it pop a bit more rather than losing it all. But again, that looks reasonably nice. Not one that I think anyone would be like, oh shit, I need to get this BotCon set. This was the one that had Skywarp, Striker, Obsidian, and Megaplex as well. So an odd set. A very specific fan would have to have that. I did get this one, which was Electrons. And why did I get Electrons? Because he was basically he's the laser rod figure. So they did the laser rod figure. He's done in a caramel kind of coloring. So he's gray, and then he has a pink and teal kind of, what would you call that? Almost like a reptile skin pattern on him in places. He has the head that the other guy did, but it's in silver, so you can see the details better. This is the version of the mold I have. Can I remember if he has gold plastic syndrome? No, I cannot. Oh, I forgot how weird his elbow joint is. Yeah, just looking at this figure, the elbow joint on him is a little bit on the weird side. Due to a factory error, Electrons and Hoist are not able to convert fully into robot mode thanks to the spring-held panel inside the torso. It is fairly simple fix to open up the torso with a screwdriver and flip the spring-loaded panel 180 degrees, though the spring may fight you when reinserting it into the slot. I don't know if mine's buggered or not. It might be. The torso will push fully into robot mode. This misassembly does not affect the vehicle mode. Oh, well, there you go. I don't see anything talking about gold plastic syndrome, which the original figure did. This one, look at the original figure. Look at that boy. You can tell this guy's going to turn to dust. That's the reason I got this, because I was like, it's neat. It's a G2-ish it's era kind of figure. I'll get this. It's got a new head as well. Fine. This is the one I got. I was reasonably happy with it. Now, there's also, of course, the Unite Warriors Cup. So it's that figure, but what if he was in metallic-y, tealy color? It's okay. Obviously, I think the Platinum version's better. But this, if you wanted the metallic version, rock and roll. And then there was another Autobot set, which had a slightly different color scheme. I don't even know what to describe this kind of blue as, but it's a different blue. He also has some painted scuff mark detail on him, I guess to show age. It's okay. It's not like as gross and as kind of poop as, say, like the Siege figures were done. This is a little bit better. The scuff marks are put in places that you would expect scuff marks to be, like on the edges of things, like around the door frame, around the top of the roof, around like where you might be clambering over to get into the boot of the car. Not great, not anything crazy to write home about, but it's okay. It's fine for a bit of a damaged cup version, rock and roll. But the Sergeant Cup one, I think, would have served you fine to begin with, to be honest. We had Wheeljack, which we've already talked about. It was the redo of tracks. We don't need to talk about it again. Then we have Warpath. Is Warpath the last one? Yes, because the other ones were Junkeep and Sky Shadow were the last figures of that line. Warpath was in a wave on his own. I remember Warpath being pretty hard to get. He was a good tank with a rotating turret. A rotating turret in 2010, and the turret actually moved up and down as well. So it twizzled around and it went up and down. This was a really good Warpath figure. The only big issues I had with it were his forearms had a big hole in them because you how would you describe it for those who haven't seen it? So there's a big panel. His forearms unfold, like the entire top of his forearms unfold, and you'd fold the hand in, not like flipping the wrist inwards, but you flip the wrist like up and over. So if you bend your wrist like towards you, upwards, like the opposite way that you'd point your wrist if you're holding a sword, that way. That's the kind of direction they'd go. But because of that, there's a bit of a hole in the actual forearm. Just in a weird side, because usually when you think of forearm holds, you think of them being on the side of the arm rather than right in the front of it. So it's not awful. It's just something to note. I really liked how you collapsed the turret down into his chest. You just pushed it in and it went all the way into his chest, and there was no issues there either, which was quite nice. I'm pretty sure the head automorphed up as well. And he has two little guns on the side. One of the things is a missile launcher on the side. It has a very long piece of plastic coming out the back of it. It's one of those missiles where it's you push it in and it clicks, but then you've got a massive bit of plastic just protruding for this long missile. And then you've got like a multi-barreled gun on the side of it as well. He does have C-clips on the front of his, because I didn't mention, he's an H tank. So he's not a standard tank, he's an H tank, but he doesn't transform like you would think like an Armada Galvatron does, because the H tank part are like at the front of the tank mode are his feet. And on those parts you have the C-clips, and then there are C-clips on the back of his H tank as well. So it's, again, this is a really good figure. It was a nice update to Warpath. Maybe doesn't cut the most interesting silhouette in robot mode. He's a little bit plain robot mode wise, but he's a good compact little robot dude. No ankle tilts either because of how his legs transform, but his feet are just basically tank treads, which feels pretty nice. And again, for Warpath is pretty accurate. So in terms of redos, what did he have? There was the cancelled hard head. They don't have any design for it. The only thing we get is the image that we got on the instructions of what the head would have looked like. So I want you, chat, to look at this figure. Look at the Generations Warpath figure. And just imagine it with Hardhead's head and in the Hardhead color scheme. It would have worked really well, I think, because Hardhead is an H-tank. No headmaster, so a bit of a shame. But yeah, I think that would have worked pretty well, to be honest. So a bit of a shame in that sense. Then we have 1, 2, 3 from Fun Pub. And obviously Takara did their Unite version. So the Unite version, let's read the blob. Okay, so this is a color scheme that's more accurate to the original toy rather than the color. So he's more of a reddish brown coloration than the Hasbro version. He also features silver outlined Autobot symbol rather than the solid black one found on the Generations version, and lacks the alphanumeric codes on the side of the tank. Oh, well, look at that. That was something I didn't know. Curiously, his head is cast in red plastic rather than gray plastic, painted over the brownish red, like the Hasbro version, despite no other gray plastic being used no other gray plastic to the red plastic changes. That is weird. Like the 5th and 6th wave, Warpath's package features a sticker said limited quantity, indicating this figure was released in smaller quantities due to the during its first and only shipping. Oh, so this might be a rarer figure. Not that I think it matters too much. If I'm gonna get a tank, I'd prefer it to be red. I'm always more cartoon accuracy over toy accuracy. But if you're more toy person, this would have been, I guess, the version for you. XL Hedge says, I need a new bulky leader class Warpath. Leader? Bruh, you need to start sucking off people at Hasbro because you're not getting that. The closest you're getting is the Kingdom Warpath, which we had a long time ago, which I never bought. So I don't know whether it was any good or not. But that was the last Warpath. That was 6 fucking years ago? Oh my god, Kingdom was 6 years? Oh my god. Oh, I'm so old. I want to die. Oh god, help me. Jesus. Man, it was like 6 years. Oh, maybe we're due for a new Warpath. The Unite version came out in 2011. The Kingdom version came out in 2020. Granted, there was a Combiner Wars Legends figure in 2015, but we don't class that. So maybe we are due for a new Warpath figure XL Hedge. Maybe there is more like hope in your cards than there should be. I was wrong. I was like, oh, there's no way. It's like, oh, maybe there is. So there's there's that one. So timeline wise, we have Striker. So they remolded Striker gave her a new head. This came out really well. The Striker head looks really good. It's in purple, so it's not accurate to the toy, so that might annoy people. I guess it's more accurate to the show. Purple, tealish, grayish kind of color, and then yellowy, orangey kind of color. Looked really good. I think this was my favorite from that set, from the 2013 set. I thought it looked really nice. I was disappointed that we couldn't get a Striker like this, because I think this could have sold. To be honest, I think people would have bought this. You know, it was a good mold to begin with, and it's Striker, and there haven't been a lot of Strikers, so yeah, I think it would have worked. There was also Blast Charge, who was based off of, obviously, Blast Charge, the terrible Beast Machines figure. Hang on. Oh, this was the customization class version. Oh, and they made a little flag with him. Oh, isn't that cute? Yeah, it came with a little flag with a couple of different stickers you could have used for said flag. That's pretty cute. Oh, you can even there's a port, so the actual flagpole could have stuck in the tank, and you could have driven around the tank mode with the flag sticking out of it. That's pretty cute. I like that. Customization class. Yeah, it's just basically the Striker mold. It's the Striker head on the Warpath body. Let's get that right. Then just done into Blast Charge's color scheme, which is tannish, orangey color, then a reddish, orangey color, and a gray. So it looks good, and I guess they were just told to draw brownish camo lines on him, which would have been accurate. So this looks pretty good as well, to be honest. This is a solid choice for the customization class, and I think it looks pretty good, because, you know, I don't think Blast Charge is something that you put into a set and people go, yes! Yes, Blast Charge. People go, what the fuck's a Blast Charge? Oh, that thing? I mean, this looks nice, but well, this actually doesn't look too bad, to be honest. It's like, okay, no, that works pretty well. And then the last version was in 2014, which was Treadshot. Yes, the Action Master, who was again done by Funpub. He was an Action Master. He actually came with his partner, which was based off, oh god, what was that thing based off of? Treadshot comes with a minor accessory, with minor misassembly. The tank of his cannon is put in back to front, instead of front to back. Like on the previous releases of this mold, shortening the amount the cannon can extend and how high it can raise in tank mode. This is easily fixed by screws, etc., etc. Does it say what his friend is? He also comes with a new version of Gut Cat. Gut Cat was based off of something, though. Does it tell us here? Okay, there it is. So, Gut Cat, his little arms Micron friend, was based off of the Prime's arms Micron Jida, and then just recolored. So it's that figure Jida, just recolored, which could transform in a fashion into from a cat to a gun mode to a weird chainsaw thing because it had like spikes all over its legs. I think I had a version of this, that cat thing, because I recognize those bizarre cat legs. It's had a new head as well, but that was it. Again, looked really nice, especially for like an exclusive. It's like who would have done Treadshot? When was the last Treadshot figure? That was it. We had the original Treadshot, and then this one. You could argue, looking at the OG Treadshot, the head is not accurate, and it's not. Not at all, actually. The new Treadshot has individual eyes, while the old Treadshot has a mono visor. But they sort of tried to recreate the mono visor on the top of his forehead. Excuse me. I don't know why they changed the head design. It's odd. It's not bad. It's unique in a sense, but it's one of those things where I'm like, I kind of get why the shape of the head is not the same. The original is more of a motorbike helmet kind of look to it, while this one's kind of more similar to, I guess, Warpath's head shape, not his actual look, but the size of it. I'm guessing that's maybe due to just the space that's available. Maybe they couldn't do too many angles without the head just like bumping into things unless they shrank the head down. And, you know, when you start shrinking the head, it starts looking out of proportion, etc., etc. But again, this mold was a really good mold. It was a load of fun. That was the line. It was 9 waves of just solid figures. I think the weakest figure figures in the line were probably, I was going to say Red Lure, but Red Lure was good because it was just the Sunstreaker the Sunstreaker Sideswipe mold. So no, the weakest in the line was probably like Thrust, because it was the classics mold. Just again, and people were happy to have it, like I say, because they didn't have the opportunity to get it before. So here you go, you got the opportunity. Great. Everything else was just like there was no like figure where I got it and went, wow, this is a shit figure. Again, maybe the Wheeljack. Maybe, again, Thundercracker. It was good for people to be able to get it. I skipped it because I had the Bocon set. It was great to have. And then the GDO set were, well, they were what they were. And then we moved on to Fall of Cybertron in 2012, where we had the oil crash and things got ropey. Ropey for a while. When did they stop getting ropey? They stopped getting ropey in the thrilling 30s around Deluxe Wave. No, it's still rough there. Maybe around like Wave. What was that figure? No, that was still ropey. Maybe around Wave 8, 7 or 8 of the Deluxe Waves. Or the waves in general, that's right, in the waves in general. Because they have the weird release schedule. I think around that time, Wave 8 is when the figure started getting better in terms of quality, because Springer came out in Wave 3. What? Voyager Series 2, Wave 3. What about Wave 1? There isn't a Wave 1. That's weird. Whatever. Okay. Whenever Springer came out, the figure started getting good. We'll get to the thrilling 30s because we'll have to get through the Fall of Cybertron stuff. But yeah, this is a great wave. If you haven't tried any of these figures that I've mentioned, it's really worth it. Again, my personal favorite is the War for Cybertron Megatron. Like I say, it's objectively not the best figure. I just personally like it because I like how it feels in hand. I like the simplistic transformation. I love how the robot mode looks. It's just a really fun figure, I feel. So it's worth grabbing some of these if you haven't tried them before. I don't know what prices on them are like. They're probably Probably not kind, because nothing's kind these days on eBay. But you never know. You might find a good deal. But I think I'll call it a quits. I'll call this a show, chat. Thank you very much for coming on by. Thank you. Much appreciated. We'll be back next week with the news. Hopefully there'll be some sort of news to talk about. There's been a small amount this week, but nothing too crazy. And in terms of what I've been up to, not much. I did buy the Lego Star Wars TIE Bomber, the new one. I bought that tonight because I was like oohing and ahhing about it because I think it's the first TIE Bomber they've done in a long, long time, and I was like, oh, I do like TIE Bombers. And it is slightly cheaper than it was at full price now. Copium. So I was like, oh, well, why not? No, wait. I'm a liar. I'm a lying horcher. I apologize. It's not the TIE Bomber I bought. It was the Jango Fett Slave 1. Sorry, it's not the Slave 1 anymore. We can't call it the Slave 1. It's the slavery one. It's the colonizer one. I picked that up. The minifigure for Boba looks shit. For a young Boba Fett, looks weird. Like the hairpiece looks odd. But it's got Django and it's got the Prime Minister of Kamino who looks pretty good, and the actual Slave One set looked pretty good as well. The same kind of mentality ran through my head of like, oh, it looks pretty fun. Give it a go. Why not? I like Django Fett. He's pretty cool. He's actually pretty cool. I have I see some of the new Lego Star Wars sets, and they've got this stupid gimmick, the brick gimmick, and I'm like, ugh, what a waste of fucking money. And it looks like they've hampered the sets because of them. So I'm like, ugh, good luck to you. And it looks like they're doing a lot of Star Wars Mandalorian and Grongo sets, and I'm like, I don't like Grongo. I don't like the Mandalorian either. I thought the show was pretty poop, and Grongo's terrible. But I get why it's marketable. So either way, that's really the most of the interesting stuff I've been up to. Just again, continuing through Deep Space Nine. Did you know Deep Space Nine's really good? Yeah, it's a really good show. Still, after all these years. Will they ever remaster it to make it into HD quality? Probably not, because it would cost a lot of money, unfortunately. There you go. We'll be back next week. I'll see you here. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube as Decayed Andy. But I stream and do stuff every now and again. If you want to message me, you can do that over Twitter law. We're on Facebook, Libsyn, iTunes, and YouTube, as well as Moonbase 2 Transformers Podcast. If you type in Moonbase 2 Transformers Podcast, you'll probably find us. We have the Moonbase 2 forums, which people still use for some reason to at least download the show. There's the ccbunker.weebly.com, which is also a place you can go and get the show if you, again, desire to. I don't actually put my streams up there. I can't be bothered. It's mainly on my YouTube page, the streams where I stream video games from, but that's neither here nor there. I've started playing Dragon's Dogma 2. I have added mods to make it not crash, in theory, and run a little bit better than when it did when it came out, so it seems to be working okay for me at the moment, but I'm very early in, so I'm sure it could shit its pants at any moment, and I'm sure I'll run into the other problem that Dragon's Dogma 2 generally suffers from as we go through, but I guess we'll see. Until next week, everybody, thank you very much for coming on by. I'm dead on the outside, dead on the inside, and until next time...
I hate them, Gregory! I hate them all!
Bye! Yeah.